Welcome to the Tattoo Marketing Podcast. On this week's episode, we have Serena Armstrong, an artist who specializes in anime tattoos. And we cover the topics of what it's like to tattoo while traveling, the value of consistency, and her recommendations for the best ink and machines out there. Enjoy. Thank you for joining the podcast. I absolutely appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Just want to tell us who you are, where you work, a little bit about yourself, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, my name is Serena Armstrong. I currently work at Electric Grizzly Tattoo in Canmore, Alberta. So out in the mountains. But I'm originally from Ottawa, Ontario, which is on the other side of Canada. Basically, I just moved out here last May. And I do anime. I used to do neotrad, but as of 2 years ago, I have been only doing anime, and I've never been happier.
What made you make that switch?
So I always drew anime. That's actually how I started drawing. Since I was a kid, that's always what I drew. But when I learned to tattoo, there wasn't really anyone doing anime, so that wasn't really something that you could learn. So I just basically did what people would want to get. So, I mean, at first I kind of did everything. I did realism, traditional, I did lettering, I did like all the walk-in kind of stuff, like anything that just to make some money. But then as I started to progress, I found that the closest thing to anime, like what I had been drawing my whole life, was neotrad. So I basically did neotrad for about like 6 years. And then I found some artists that were doing anime that the way that they applied it was kind of similar to neotrad. So I just decided, I was inspired, and I decided, well, I can do this. This is actually, it's more representing of who I am. And I just basically learned like neotrad and I applied the skills that I learned in neotrad into anime. And that's why I have like smooth blends, and I do a lot of like color packing. I don't really do black and gray, but I learned all of those skills through neotrad.
Got it. Yeah, it seems like in the last 5 years, anime's really exploded, and all these artists that secretly have loved it their entire life. Like, yes, that was my time. Yeah.
I do find that like everyone that does anime now comes from another background. Like most of their career, they did something else, and they just did the switch too. Like I see people coming from like a realistic background. Like that's what the owner of my shop does. He comes from a realistic background, and we're actually currently working on a massive collaboration. And you can see his background is more realism and mine is more neotrad. His has a lot more depth, a lot more color, a lot more, it's more like 3D than mine's a lot more two-dimensional.
Got it. So, grew up in Canada. Did I see that you lived in the U.S. for a little while, or you were down here?
No, I just visit a lot.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
I do love going down there.
It is nice. It's probably a little warmer, especially this time of year as well.
100%.
So,
Yeah.
So how did you get into tattooing? Like, when did you know you wanted to be an artist?
I actually didn't want to be an artist for a long time. And the way that I got into a shop is kind of funny. My friend just wanted to get her first tattoo when she was 18. I was 19 at the time. And I went to a shop with her. And then when I was there, while she was getting tattooed, I just kind of made this joke. And I was like, you guys should hire me, as an assistant or whatever, and just pay me in tattoos. And they said yes. I didn't realize that it was like kind of a shitty shop at the time. Like I didn't really have anything to compare it to. I was just happy to be in a shop. At the time I was actually in school, and I worked there for free, and they did pay me in tattoos, which is how I got a lot of my shitty tattoos. And then one of the artists from that shop left and opened his own studio, and I asked him for an apprenticeship. So he was actually the one who taught me like the basic skills, like all the cross-contamination and then the very basic stuff. And then I kind of hopped around from shop to shop after that.
Got it. So when you were growing up, it sounds like you already had, like you liked art. You were artistic, especially if the shop is ready to just take you on at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
Were you a big drawer when you were growing up?
Oh yeah, so both my parents are actually like incredible artists. They don't do that for work. It was just like a side thing, but they both like are really incredible realistic painters. So since I could hold a pencil, I've always wanted to draw, and I've always been drawing. And my mom was actually a huge anime fan, and she got me into anime, and that's why I started drawing anime. But yeah, art's always
That's
been
awesome.
my thing for sure.
Me and my kid recently started watching Avatar because he's never seen it
Oh
before,
yeah,
and we've been watching One Punch Man, and
yeah.
he's like, "These are amazing." I'm like, "I know."
Yeah,
Hey,
I'm
dude, it's
trying to
about
get
time.
my
It's
boyfriend
cool
to get
passing
into
on.
anime, but he thinks that they're scary right now. He's 5, so it makes sense. But I'm trying to slowly get him into it. I've been showing him all the like Studio Ghibli movies and stuff, and he likes them. As long as they're soft, he likes it.
There you go. Pokemon's a good intro
Yeah,
to any kind of anime
yeah,
or the
yeah,
original Dragon Ball Z. That
for
was that was
sure.
my jam growing up.
Oh yeah,
Not
my
even Z, just
stepbrother
Dragon
loved
Ball.
that
Yeah,
shit. I'm not a Dragon Ball person. I get shit on it all the time for it,
yeah,
but like it's the one thing I don't tattoo, but I do know how big it is, and I do remember my stepbrother like loved it growing up.
yeah. That was my intro. That was my jam. That was and my kid's now 12, so
Okay,
totally understands. Yeah, so
he's at the
even when he
age
was
for
younger,
it.
there
Yeah,
was
yeah,
yeah. He doesn't have nightmares in bed anymore, so that helps. It's not as
for
scary to
sure,
him,
for sure.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your apprenticeship like?
Um, I mean, I it was a little bit unorthodox. I kind of did $20 tattoos for I don't even remember how long, but as until I was like decent, I guess. But I wasn't really taught like that much. I wasn't there for that long. What I When I actually learned to tattoo, I went to another shop called Planet Ink in Ottawa, and I honestly was not taught, but I would just sit and watch people tattoo all day long. Like if I didn't have appointments or I didn't really have any appointments at the time. I had like 3 jobs, like I wasn't really booking anybody. So I would just sit there and draw and like watch people tattoo. And that's basically how I learned. I didn't really have like a, proper apprenticeship.
Got it. So after that, you said you hopped around to a couple shops. Did you travel? What was that experience?
So I actually had a pretty bad experience near the end of one of the shops that I was working at. The one that I worked at for the longest period of time. I was there for about 4 years. Um, there was a there was some issues that happened. There was like issues with other people in the shop, and then I decided to leave. And then the shop that I ended up at, it kind of they butted heads with the other shop that I was at before, and it just caused a lot of stuff. That's why I hopped around. But then I ended up at the studio right before the one that I'm at now, Railbender. I mean, COVID hit too, so
Mm,
I was kind of at a shop, and then I left because like it was COVID, and then I ended up at the shop that I was at before here, and I would have stayed there for a while, but I just needed to get out of Ottawa, and I just fell in love with this area. I just love the mountains, and I had come and guest spotted here once with Derek. He's the one who owns my studio. And I had met him because I worked next to him. It was the only convention that was happening during COVID. It was like the second year of COVID, and it was the only convention that was doing it. So I actually ended up tattooing next to him. And that's how I met him. And I had been wanting to move out here. And when I guessed it, I kind of like hinted, hey, like, if you're looking for anyone, let me know. And then as soon as he offered me the position, I just made the decision to move out here, and it's like the best thing that I've ever done.
nice. Good. That's cool.
Yeah.
It definitely, from what I've heard, seems like Canada had a lot more restrictions during lockdown,
Oh yeah.
especially towards the later part of the second year, even the second year,
Oh
than
yeah.
the U.S. did. So
It was horrible. Horrible.
yeah, yeah, I couldn't imagine being. I mean, locked out of your shop for a year or however long 2 years, however long you guys were. That's nuts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Not a good
Um,
time.
no,
As soon as I
no.
could leave the country, I left, and I was like, I'm leaving, and I went to the States. It was awesome.
Little more freedom.
Yeah.
Um, so as you're apprenticing and kind of learning and moving around to other shops, what made you to go with the style that you did before
Um,
anime?
yeah, I think just like so Neotrad was just the closest thing to anime. And then I learned Neotrad, and that's how I got my like application skills, and then I just kind of went back. I went back to my original, like what really made me happy to draw and what I could relate to and what I enjoyed drawing. And yeah, that's just like what made me go back to anime. It's just like going back to my roots pretty much. It's like I finally, like when I was doing Neotrad, I was kind of biting off of other artists more because I wasn't really finding my originality. And then now that I'm doing anime, it's a lot more true to who I am. So I feel like I'm finally myself and I've like found my path, you know?
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, Outside of neotrad and anime, what's your favorite style?
Neotrad. Is
Yeah.
it like it's hard because I guess I really like scripts. Like I love lettering. Um, I do have some realism on me. Honestly, I like every style. Like I appreciate every style. I think the only style that I don't really like, I think is probably like watercolor stuff. But I like everything else. Like I've done it all. I still sometimes do dot work. I like mandala stuff. Like I like my boyfriend does realism. He's an incredible realistic artist, and I appreciate realism too. But to get on myself, it's always been neotrad, and now I'm finally starting to get some anime.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was talking with the artist the other day, and he's doing a mixture of anime and trash poker,
Okay. Yeah,
and
I've seen some of that.
it looks super
Yeah.
cool. It's definitely a cool fusion of the two
Yeah,
styles.
there's a lot of like very creative stuff going on right now in the anime community. Like I'm seeing people doing realistic anime characters and like all kinds of, I'm seeing like script being integrating with anime, and like I'd love to do a collaboration with my boyfriend too, somehow implicate black and gray realism with anime. We're trying to figure out how that would work, but yeah, it's pretty cool what people are coming up with nowadays, especially now that there are more anime tattooers coming out.
Yeah. Did you go to Anime Inc?
I did. Yeah, it was my second
Did
time. Yeah.
did you go to the one in Miami
No.
or
I
okay?
actually had an appointment booked with Vadik Navadik. He is one of the most incredible anime tattooers in the world. And it was like right after Miami, so I couldn't really do both. I
Mhm.
wanted to go to Miami just to kind of hang out. I wasn't gonna work, but once I booked that appointment, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna save my money and just save it for LA, and it was so worth it. I mean, it was super painful. It's the
Nice.
back of my knee, and we couldn't finish
Oh,
it, but it was a good experience, though. He's a fucking awesome, sweetest guy I've ever met.
nice. Uh, how did you like Anime Inc? I mean, I've talked to handful of artists, and usually when everyone has their favorite convention, I don't think I've ever heard so many people choose one convention as Anime Inc.
Yeah, so I mean, imagine being an anime nerd, right? So it's like you go into just an anime store and you're like in heaven. It was like that. So it was like an anime convention, which I had never even been to an anime convention in general. So it's like a giant anime world, and then anime like convention meets tattoo convention. And this everything is anime. So it's like a dream, like you get to meet like everybody that you've been following, everybody you've been talking to online, you finally get to meet in person. People are doing collaborations. I mean, there's awesome contests. I even won a few, and it's just a good time. It's like we all come together, and like I think that they should do that for other styles of tattooing too. I think they should do like a realistic, tattoo convention. It's just cool to bring it all together, and everyone cosplays like it's heaven on earth, to be honest. For an anime
That
nerd.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. I was originally supposed to go to the last one. Some family things came up, but I'm planning on going to the next one because I saw everybody's pictures they
Oh
posted
yeah.
and talking about it. I'm like, oh,
I even met some voice actors. Like they had some voice actors at the one in Richmond last year. And so I got to meet the guy who does the voice of Inosi, which is one of my favorite characters in Demon Slayer. And I got him to sign a little figure I had, and it's incredible. I can't wait. It just keeps getting better, so I can't wait to see what they're gonna have at this one.
yeah, it seems like so I talked to some of the guys from Vault Lake Christian. It seems like it's getting bigger and bigger extremely
Oh
fast, and
yeah, yeah, for sure.
yeah,
I mean, there's a lot
it'll
of us
be
anime
cool.
nerds out there, so it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Mhm.
Um, Through your career, what's been your favorite tattoo that you've done?
Oh my God, that's hard. I mean, the ones that I have pinned on my profile are probably my favorite, but currently, like I said, me and my colleague Derek are currently working on a leg sleeve. Like he's at the shop right now, like working on it. And that might be my new favorite. It's a giant Chainsaw Man piece. So he's doing Chainsaw Man at the top, so the whole thigh, and then I'm doing the bottom part with Makima. I don't know if you've seen the show, but I
Mm-mm.
actually haven't seen a Chainsaw Man leg sleeve yet. Because it's a new anime, there aren't like too many tattoos of it out there yet. So this is probably my favorite. I'm really excited for it to be completed. I'm gonna be going there right after this to finish it and get some content.
Nice. Will it be done today then?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was supposed to be
Awesome.
done yesterday, but my our client his flight was delayed by like 24 hours. So he showed up
Oh,
super late the first day, so we just wouldn't have had time to finish it. So we ended up having to do 3 days.
got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Um, it's always cool when you find somebody that is willing to travel, you know,
Oh yeah.
across the country or anything because they
Mm-hmm.
love your style. I mean, that's like, at least I think one of the like ultimate compliments is like, I mean, obviously people around locally will come, but like, I know myself, if I find a good artist, like, it's on your body the rest of your life. Like,
Oh,
I'll
100%.
travel. I've,
Yeah.
I've been tattooed in Vietnam because I like the guy's
Oh,
style.
for
Like,
sure.
it's,
For sure. I mean, where I live is like so, like where I live now is so remote that every single one of my clients travels, whether it's an hour away or from Belgium. Like I had a client come from Belgium, and a lot of my clients are from the States. And so like pretty much every artist in town, everyone travels for us because we're so remote. But yeah, I do the same thing. Like for most of the tattoos, well, my good tattoos, I have traveled to get because like I've learned the hard way that I don't want any more trash on myself. So like I said, I just went to LA to get tattooed by one of my heroes, and it's so worth it.
definitely. I got a lot of tattoos from the age of 18 to 20, and I've covered up most of them
Oh
at
yeah,
this point.
yeah,
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
there.
Different time.
I've got like
Yeah.
a total cover up, like it's like a sleeve cover up of a sleeve going on right now. Still not
Oh,
finished, but yeah, I totally feel you.
got it. Yeah. I made a bad decision with my entire back, and luckily we had only done probably 8 hours on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I had it covered up, and like, yeah, poor choices. I was gonna have a demon pulling down an angel's underwear. Like, I was
Oh
young, I thought it was cool, and then like, I was like, I have a kid, and someday we're gonna be at like the
yeah,
beach or a
yeah,
pool together,
yeah.
and that's not gonna
I
fly.
know it sucks when you actually have to think like logically, like would this make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
So yeah, now I have a very black back, but
Okay.
can't see anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, what kind of ink do you use? Do you have a favorite?
Yeah, so I only use Eternal, pretty much, except for my gray set, which is it's a specific gray. It's like a cool gray. It's by AD Pancho, which is world famous. But besides that, everything is Eternal. I like stand by Eternal. I think that their skin tones are amazing. So if anyone wants to know because everyone asks me what skin tones I use, and I won't say which ones, but they are Eternal.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, artists are usually ready to fight to the death over their preference of ink.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, like when I did NeoChat, I used different stuff, but now that I'm doing anime, I have to really use the same formulas for consistency, right? And I just find that with Eternal, I haven't had any problems. Like it saturates really well. I find that the pigments are not like watered down. Like sometimes you get ink that like just doesn't go in the skin right because it feels really
Mhm.
watery. I find that like Eternal is just very pigmented. And so I never really struggled to get colors in unless the skin is really, really tough. But other than that, like I stand by Eternal for sure.
Got it. Yeah, I'm looking at your profile right now, and pretty amazing color work.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Thank you so much.
Um, so speaking of being on your profile,
Hmm.
where is the picture in the kayak? Because that is beautiful.
That is out here, actually. It's at Lake
Okay,
Louise. Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. I mean, like
Got it.
all the lakes out here are that color pretty much because the It's glacier water. You can't swim in it because it's ice cold all year long, but
Yeah,
it's beautiful. Yeah, it's good to go
I,
canoeing on for sure.
that does look absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Um, do you know who Peter McKinnon is?
I can't say that I do.
So he's a YouTuber, but he's a photographer and he lives
Okay.
in Canada. And a lot of
Okay.
his pictures are scenes like that, and it's just like,
I'm bad with names, so like maybe
oh,
I've seen his work.
so am I.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Canada looks absolutely beautiful. I don't know if I could do the. I mean, Washington's cold enough. I couldn't imagine being 5 6 hours more north.
Yeah.
It's got
Just
to
come in the
be
summer.
freezing. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'll have to do that.
Mhm.
So when you were moving to this new studio, small town, kind of isolated, was that a concern for you?
It was for sure. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm not as consistently booked as I was obviously in my hometown where I grew up. But at the same time, I travel a lot. So it kind of works out because it gives me more time to go to destinations that I want to go. Like, I'm literally going to Florida in 2 weeks to guest spot again. And then I'm going to Hawaii immediately after that. And I just went to LA. So it gives me a lot more time to travel and it gives me a lot more time to do drawings and stuff. So I don't mind it. It was definitely a concern, but I had to get out here. It's just like, it's life changing. And I just wanted to get out of my town. So it was worth it for sure.
Yeah, that's fair. And those are two very good travel destinations.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that will be very
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Totally.
Couldn't ask for much more. Nice and warm.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, so I know a lot of tattooers, the first couple years, they just grind it out as hard as they can, and then they either get burnt out or, their work suffers. How do you keep a good work-life balance?
I mean, when I first started tattooing, I was working 3 jobs. I was bartending, working at a weed shop, and yeah, tattooing. So at first, yeah, you don't make a lot of money, so you have to just like stick to it. And like, if it really means a lot to you, like you're not gonna make money for a few years. Like you won't make enough money to really like get by. You have to kind of have a second thing, but it's so worth it. And like I would never like I wouldn't change it for a thing, like my life is everything that I want it to be. Like all I've ever wanted to do was be able to work and travel, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So I'm honestly living the dream.
Yeah, I don't talk to a lot of successful tattoo artists that don't absolutely love what they do because
Yeah,
it's a certain personality and it's work and it's travel and that I mean that's to me at least that's like perfect.
for
That's
sure.
that
Yeah.
is like the ideal life.
Hmm.
Um, it's super cool. Where are your favorite destinations that you have traveled to tattoo?
I mean, probably Florida and LA. I mean, I just love Florida. But I also have two best friends that live in both places, so it's always good to see them. I recently went to Europe last year, but that was a little bit challenging because like I went to Spain for an anime convention actually, but nobody
Oh,
speaks English, so like that was a little bit challenging. I might do it again this year. Like I'd love to learn Spanish. I think I'd have a lot of a better experience. I tattooed in England. That was amazing. I tattooed at this shop in Haverhill called Legacy, and oh my god, like the people there are amazing. My friend Jess works there. She also does anime, and honestly, that was probably one of my favorites. But they don't pay as much for tattooing out there. That was like the only struggle, which is
mm,
why I do prefer going down to the US because obviously making US dollar the conversion into Canadian, you make a lot more. So it's a lot more
yeah.
worth it to pay for your accommodations and stuff like that. So I think destination wise, it was probably England, but like financially, it's a lot more beneficial to go to the US where it's hot.
Yeah, yeah, that's also yeah. Florida and Hawaii sound pretty amazing right now.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely excited. I've never been to Hawaii, so I'm stoked.
Oh, which island are you going to?
Honolulu. So I'm actually going to get my neck redone by my buddy Sketchy Lawyer. He
Okay.
also did a tattoo machine on my leg, but I got this done by him in Virginia Beach like 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. And I had used this numbing spray that ended up getting called back. So it scabbed
Oh,
really, really, really bad. So I have to get it redone, and I feel so bad because he was like, "What did you do?" But I'm excited to see him again, and I'm excied to get it redone. Not excited for the pain, but yeah, how I he's gonna be
yeah,
good.
yeah, definitely worth it. Do you use numbing spray a lot? Like, when how old are you?
I'm 29.
29. Okay. So I'm 35, 36. Oh my God. I am getting old. Can't remember how old I am. Um, like that wasn't numbing spray wasn't a thing until just the last, what, 5 to 7 years,
Yeah,
something like that,
yeah.
if even.
Hmm.
Um, do you have one that you regularly use? That you love? Obviously not the one you got on your neck, but
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, don't get that. You can't anymore anyways because it got called back. But I just use Bactine, honestly. Like,
do you?
yeah, whoever I get tattooed by usually has Bactine. Sometimes they have like a different brand. I know I recently got tattooed by Anthony Tex in Calgary. I got my back done. And they have their own brand. They have a tattoo supply company called Deadly Tattoo Supply. And they just came out with one that was amazing. Once he sprayed it, like I did not feel a thing for about like 45 minutes. Like it was amazing.
Oh,
And actually my boyfriend just purchased it and used it on some of his clients. And said that it was amazing too. So I mean that might be the new best one. But other than that, I've always just used Bactine because I've found that Bactine, as long as you don't like over like abuse it, it doesn't change the texture of the skin and it takes the edge off for the clients.
got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't gotten tattooed in a couple years, but I have never used that. And hearing everybody's experience with it, like I had my ribs done for like 15 hours,
Oh
and
man, without
I really
Bactine,
wish
oh, that's
without anything, it was horrible.
yeah, I cannot imagine. I mean, I think it's only been the last few years that I've had people spray me. But yeah, I do remember getting tattooed for hours and hours and hours and not using any spray. But I mean, I think your body just naturally kind of like, sets out your endorphins and stuff like that and your adrenaline. So your body has natural ways to cope with it. So, I mean, it's not the worst thing to not get sprayed, but it definitely takes the edge off for sure.
Yeah, yeah, especially when there's either color or the white going into the tattoo at the end.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
oh,
The dreadful
brutal.
white, the dreadful
Yeah,
highlights.
yeah, it's brutal.
Hmm.
Um, so on Instagram, you have amassed a pretty awesome following. 30, almost 35,000 followers.
Hmm.
What, I mean, how long have you been on Instagram? What was how did your rise to fame on there?
Um,
'Cause I know a lot of people think, uh, like they want a lot of Instagram followers, and it says a lot as a tattoo artist. It says people love your work,
mhm.
and don't quite know how to get it. Because I've seen some amazing artists with like 300 followers, and
Yeah,
like more people should definitely know you.
for sure. Yeah. I mean, I think some of the best tattooers in the world don't have a huge following, and it's because they don't really care to market themselves. I've
Mm.
always had like a kind of like a niche talent for that. I've always been told that I'm really good at marketing myself. I've been on Instagram, I mean, since I started tattooing, so it's probably like 9 or so years, like my tattoo account. And honestly, my following has only like spiked since I started doing anime. And I think that's just because it's such a cult following and there aren't that many anime tattooers out there. So once people find an anime tattooer that they like, they kind of tell their friends and stuff. Like most of my clients and most of my like fan base, I guess, is friends of friends of friends, because and it's like my clients are returning clients always. Like they'll get one piece and then they end up getting a whole sleeve. Then they tell their friends and stuff. But I mean, I've always definitely posted about myself, but I think it was anime itself that just kind of pushed me in the right direction.
Got it.
I mean, I got to
Oh,
20K right when I switched to anime. I think it had been like maybe 6 months. And then after that, it just started going up like crazy. And like it goes up every day. And to be honest, like I don't get like a crazy amount of likes or anything on my posts, but for some reason my followers go up pretty quickly. So I don't really know what's going on. The algorithm is always changing, so it's kind of hard to keep up. But I mean, I also try to engage with my followers too. Like I'll do a lot of posts like, what characters would you like me to do in my flash drop? What are your favorite characters in this anime? What animes would you like to see on some merch? And people like to be engaged, and I think that when people are engaged, they share too, and that definitely helps.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. And with Instagram, there's two schools of thought that I hear. And one is it doesn't necessarily make you any more money. It's just kind of a status thing. The other thing is, I mean, it's essential with where tattooing is going. I mean,
Mhm.
the industry is supposed to double by 2026,
Yeah,
like, or I'm sorry, 2029.
yeah.
So, with all these new artists and shops that are going to pop up over the next 6 to 7 years,
Hmm.
um, the easiest way people normally, unless they're, not looking for a certain style, they're just looking for something small and they're Googling it. Um, Most people find artists on and art that they like if they're willing to travel for it on Instagram.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so, I mean, I personally, I understand both sides. It's never bad to market yourself,
Hmm.
though.
For sure.
It's never bad to have that following. So I personally think it's, especially when what we're going to see in the next 6 years, going to be a huge, huge part of that.
Hmm.
Uh, when I first started getting tattooed, when you first started getting tattooed, like that wasn't a thing. Like we were saying, you just go to a shop
Yeah,
and you get whoever you get
yeah.
that was either free or you had a friend who's
Oh yeah, there
referred
was no
somebody.
Instagram back then, so yeah.
Nope, nope. That was man. I
You go, you
got my
pick
first
something off the
tattoo.
wall.
Yep, yep.
I'll get
Or
that
you
by
give them,
whoever.
yep.
Mm.
Or you give them your idea, and it was one of my first tattoos was a dog that I had that passed away, and it was a pit bull. The idea was this beautiful pit bull, a picture of her with wings and a halo. It did not look like that when it was
Oh,
done.
for sure.
I was
Yeah.
like, there's like a pig on my arm
Oh
that
yeah,
what
yeah.
there's something wrong with.
Hmm.
Um,
That artist was probably
yeah,
like, "Fuck this."
yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, those days, you just went to the store
Yeah.
or the local shop. Um, but I do think that and being able to market yourself and shops being able to market themselves is going to be a huge part of where we see the industry going over the next 6 to 7 years. We already started to see it with a few shops. There was a guy I talked to, Faces in the Dark, down in Kyle, Texas. He started his studio in 2016. He has 9 artists now, and he does a ton of marketing, like Facebook ad, Google ads, stuff like that. So I think we're going to see more of a shift.
Hmm.
But I do think Instagram and probably TikTok is going to be a big part of artists getting well known.
Yeah, I actually have had some people say that they found me on TikTok, which is hilarious because my TikTok has been very inactive. I've been really bad with TikTok, to be honest. I had like one video that went it got pretty high up there in views, and after that it just kind of went downhill, and I just kind of gave up on it. But yeah, TikTok is definitely up there too. I think TikTok is getting more and more useful. Um, yeah, just consistency I think is also important. Like learning to be consistent with your posting is what gets you engagement, and I'm kind of bad at that sometimes, but I think that's probably the highest like to get engagement, that's probably the highest way to go about it.
Agreed. Yeah. It's so I don't. I am. I'll be honest. I'm terrible with TikTok. One of my employees does all of our TikTok videos. Like I
Yeah.
hired him to do that. Like maybe I'm just old. I don't know, man. You know, I started with MySpace. That was
Oh
my
yeah,
jam.
yeah, I
So
remember. I remember that.
yeah, yeah. Um, where do you want to like be in 5 years?
Ooh. I don't know. Honestly, I just want to keep doing what I'm doing and just like go to more destinations, meet more people. I'd like to be more booked, obviously. But I'm enjoying my freedom right now. So I don't know. It's hard to say. I really like what I have going on right now. And if it just keeps getting better, then that's all I can ask for.
Got it. Do you have any places that you really want to travel to tattoo?
To tattoo, I want to do everywhere in Europe, honestly. Um, Japan maybe, but I don't know how that would go down there because I don't know that many people that get tattooed in Japan, right? But um, in terms of just destinations, I just want to go everywhere. And if I can tattoo anywhere that I'm gonna end up going, then that works out too. But sometimes it's not really worth it to bring all your gear if like they don't pay much in that area. There's a lot of places that, they don't make as much money as we do here. So they don't have enough money to pay your pricing. So it's not really worth it sometimes to tattoo in like all destinations, but I'm just happy to tattoo anywhere.
Got it. What about places you want to go just for vacation?
So this year, I really want to go to Greece. I mean, Hawaii and Greece were on my list this year. I always have a list per year where I really, really want to go. For next year, I want to go back to Japan. I actually lived in Japan when I was 15 for a year. I was an exchange student.
Oh, that's cool.
So I've always wanted to go back. I do speak a bit of Japanese. I'm trying to reteach myself for like by the time I do go back. Besides that, I really want to go to Egypt and I really want to do South Asia for sure. Like everywhere.
Those
in
all
South Asia.
those all sound like pretty amazing places.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen the picture? It's in Vietnam. It's the Golden Hands Bridge.
I might have. I think so.
So it's two golden hands, and it has like they look like they're out over the edge of this cliff, and there's a place you can walk on it, a path.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were in Vietnam, we went to go visit that because it looks amazing. There is nowhere that tells you that is a part of a theme park.
Oh no way!
Yeah,
Damn it!
It's
Wow.
well, it's the craziest thing I've seen. So you have to take at least at the time, this was only like 4 or 5 years ago. It was the world's longest gondola up this mountain
Okay.
to get to this theme park.
Right.
And it's like Disneyland on the top of a mountain.
Wow.
It's wild.
That is so cool. That I'd have to add that to my list.
Yeah, it's Bana Hills or Baja Hills, something
Okay.
like that. But if you go to Vietnam, that and you'll see around the country, there's these giant like 15 story tall Buddhas.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely on my list
cool.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome. What advice would you have for artists that want to, just improve their line work, their colors, just get better?
I mean, seminars, watching, like if you work at a guest spotting. Honestly, I think the best way to learn is guest spotting. Sometimes you work in a studio with not a lot of artists or they're just not people that are easy to learn from. Go do guest spots and just watch people tattoo, ask questions. I mean, I still struggle with like some things in tattooing and I'm not afraid to ask questions. Like my boyfriend was teaching me light source the other night, like I ask questions all the time. So yeah, just don't be afraid to ask, don't be afraid to watch, like you can always progress, you can always get better. So yeah, just don't be afraid to ask questions.
And anybody that's looking to apprentice, what would your advice be to them? Because it seems, not everybody wants to take on an apprentice.
For sure.
So
yeah. So I mean, I've been asked, I've had a lot of people ask me this question too. And my best advice is always start in a shop. Do not go on Amazon and buy yourself a machine because now I know it's very accessible. Everything is very accessible. Anyone can buy anything. Don't do it. And especially if you're this has been a new thing. Permanent makeup artists are now just trying to start tattooing on their own. Always learn from someone. Always. There are so many factors. I think the most important factor that you need to learn that you can't just teach yourself is cross-contamination. You have to be safe. You have to know you have to get your bloodborne pathogen certification. You need to know the do's and don'ts. It's very important to be safe and, because you could cause someone a really like bad infection. People can get amputations. Like it can get really, really ugly if you don't know what you're doing. We've all seen those videos of people tattooing in their garages with no gloves on and there's like a cat on the client, and it's just like so unsanitary. And I just think that definitely starting to shop, even if you're not making money, go to a studio that you like, find an artist that you like near you, go to their studio and just keep begging them, to just keep coming, draw and draw and draw and draw, show them your drawings, and don't leave them alone. Keep bugging them and just say, hey, like, just let me hang out and draw. Like, we have a girl that comes and hangs out and just draws at our shop. And just by that, you can learn, by watching. And then eventually, if you stick around, like, you will be offered something. Um, but don't give up either. I know sometimes it can be discouraging. You don't know when you're going to start tattooing or when you're going to start making money, but it's way more important to learn the right way than to just dive in not knowing what you're doing, because you can cause a lot of harm. And then once your reputation is ruined, then you're done.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that if, as long as you start the right way and you do it properly, then your name is all you have. So just do it the right way.
That is solid advice. And I agree with all of it, but it seems like a lot of people give up too quickly if they don't get an apprenticeship. Like you're saying, that girl that's sitting there drawing, like that is showing massive initiative, just being there
Exactly.
on their own time.
Mm-hmm.
So
like
I think
no one is like, when you're learning something, no one is getting paid really, you know what I mean? Like most apprenticeships, whether you're doing like mechanics or whatever, like you don't really get paid. If you do, not a lot. And
Mhm.
so just, if that's really what you want to do, don't give up, get a side job. Even if you can only go to the shop once a week, at least that you're gonna get closer to your goal. And one day it'll be so worth it. Like, here I am now, like, living my best life, honestly. And had I given up, I would still be bartending, which there's nothing wrong with bartending, but I much prefer what I'm doing now.
Yeah, definitely a different ability to travel and stuff as a bartender versus a
Yeah.
tattoo artist and
Yeah.
make money. And
Mm.
no, solid career.
Yeah.
Definitely a solid career. I know you have to get to your studio to finish your tattoo. I've got one last question
Sure.
for you, and this is just because I am interested.
Yeah.
What is your favorite type of machine?
So I currently use I've always used Cheyenne pretty much. I mean, when I first started, I learned everything, coils, rotaries. But now I do use a rotary. It's the Cheyenne Unlimited pen. It's a cordless machine. Before that, I used the Cheyenne pen, just the regular pen. And then before that, I used the Hawk Spirit. I honestly love Cheyenne, but my boyfriend did just buy a Good Guy. It's called the Good Pen, and it's a cordless machine as well. It looks similar to the one that I use, and he said it's amazing. So I really want to try that one too. But yeah, I'm definitely a rotary person. I don't know if I could go back to coils, but yeah, that's my favorite. My boss is actually sponsored. Derek Turcott, he's sponsored by them, so I'm like trying to get on that soon, hopefully.
Got it.
But yeah, they're a great company, and I definitely recommend their stuff for sure.
Okay, cool. Well, awesome. I massively appreciate you being here.
For sure.
I really enjoyed that. It's always good to talk to somebody that loves to travel and is passionate about their craft.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, again, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It was fun.
Yeah. It was.
All right.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you. I do really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I have one more question. This is super random.
Sure.
But I am interviewing he's a tattoo artist now, spent 18 years in prison, and that's where he learned to tattoo.
Okay.
What would you find interesting to learn about tattooing in prison? Super random, I know.
Sorry, repeat the question. Sorry.
What would you find interesting as a tattoo artist to learn about what it's like tattooing in prison?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to pick their brain and see what they were using, and see how clean they could have been in prison. Hopefully that they'll, learn how to use a proper machine and do, I mean, I'd love to see their work too. Are they good?
Yeah.
Are they getting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
yeah.
I mean, who knows? You can start anywhere, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people start, from the bottom. So that's very interesting. I would love to meet this person, to be honest.
Yeah. No, good guy. Awesome. We'll probably launch this end of March, beginning of April. I'll let you know when we do. We'll cut up some clips and post them, and we'll tag you in them and everything like that.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. And if there's anything I can do to help you in the future, what we do is marketing. I never tell anybody that, but what we do is marketing for tattoo studios and artists. if I can ever help in the future at all, just let
Sweet.
me know. And
Yeah, I'll keep that in
again,
mind.
massively appreciate it.
Yeah, for
So
sure. Thank you so
thank you.
much.
Yeah.
Okay,
Have a good one.
bye.